It's Father's Day morning. The sunlight filters through the thin curtains, casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. I remember when Mary picked out those curtains. She had such an eye for things like that, making something simple look beautiful. She could turn this modest house into a home with just her presence. But she's been gone for 3 years now, and the house hasn't felt the same since. It's just walls and furniture now, holding memories that grow fainter with each passing day. Right now, I ask you for a favor to comment where you're watching from, what time it is for you, and please, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I look around the space I occupy. The living room is sparse, a sofa that's seen better days, a small television that I barely turn on, and photographs on the mantel, photographs of happier times. There's one of Robert when he was young, maybe 7 or 8 years old, grinning with that gap-toothed smile, holding up a baseball glove I'd saved for months to buy him. He loved that glove, wore it everywhere, even to bed sometimes. Mary used to laugh about that. "Our boy and his glove," she'd say, shaking her head with that warm smile of hers. Those days feel like they belong to someone else's life now. Someone who had a wife who laughed easily and a son who looked at him like he hung the moon. Now I have silence and a monthly visit from the church ladies who bring me canned goods and bread. I'm grateful for it, of course. Without them, I don't know how I'd manage. My pension barely covers the utilities and property taxes. There's not much left over for food, let alone anything else. But I don't complain. Complaining never changed anything. I learned that a long time ago, working those long shifts at the factory, coming home bone tired, but still finding energy to play catch with Robert in the backyard. Mary would call us in for dinner, and we'd sit around that old table, the one I built with my own hands, and talk about our days. Simple times. Honest times. I wonder sometimes when things changed. Was it gradual, like the slow turning of seasons? Or was there a specific moment when Robert stopped being the boy with the baseball glove and became the man in expensive suits? I suppose it doesn't matter now. What's done is done. People grow up. They move on. They build their own lives. I understand that. I do. But understanding doesn't make the loneliness any easier to bear. I've been awake since 5 this morning, which is early even for me. Couldn't sleep. My mind kept turning over the fact that Robert was coming today. It's been nearly 2 months since I've seen him. 2 months. And before that, it was 3. He's busy, I tell myself. He's important now. He runs that big company downtown. Something to do with real estate development. I don't fully understand it, but I know he's successful. Very successful. The kind of success that comes with fancy cars and expensive restaurants, and a life that doesn't have much room for an old man living in a small house on the poor side of town. I made coffee this morning, the cheap instant kind, and sat at the kitchen table watching clock, waiting. There's something pathetic about that, isn't there? An old man waiting for his son, like a child waiting for a Christmas morning. But I can't help it. These visits, infrequent as they are, they're what I look forward to. They're the markers of my calendar, the events that break up the endless sameness of my days. The church ladies were here yesterday. Betty and Martha, 2 kind souls who've been bringing me food for the past year. They don't make a fuss about it. They just show up with their bags of groceries and their gentle smiles, asking how I'm doing, if I need anything else. I always say no, even when the answer is yes. Pride, I suppose. Or maybe just dignity. What little of it I have left. Betty mentioned that it was Father's Day weekend. "Your son coming to see you?" she asked, her eyes warm with genuine interest. I nodded, feeling that small flutter of anticipation in my chest. "He is," I said. "Tomorrow." She smiled at that. "How wonderful. I bet you're excited." I am. Even now, with all the distance between us, with all the changes, I'm still his father, and he's still my son. That has to mean something, doesn't it? The house is as clean as I can make it. I spent yesterday afternoon tidying up, dusting surfaces that barely needed dusting, straightening things that were already straight. I wanted it to look nice for Robert. I wanted him to see that I'm managing, that I'm keeping things together. I don't want him to worry, or worse, to pity me. I hear a car pulling up outside. My heart jumps a little. I check the clock on the wall. 10 o'clock, right on time. Robert has always been punctual. Even as a boy, he had this sense of order, this need for things to be just so. I stand up, smoothing down my shirt, suddenly conscious of how old and worn it is. It's clean, at least. That's something. The doorbell rings. I walk to the door, each step feeling heavier than it should. Why am I nervous? This is my son, my own flesh and blood. But there's something in the air today, something I can't quite name. Attention, perhaps. An anticipation of something more than just a routine visit. I open the door. Robert steps in, looking sharp as always. He's the picture of success, dressed in a suit that probably costs more than the furniture in this house. The fabric looks expensive, the cut perfect. His shoes are polished to a mirror shine. Even his watch. I notice these things. Looks like he could pay my bills for a year. He greets me, his smile distant. There's a kiss on the cheek, a brief embrace that feels more obligatory than genuine. The warmth I remember from his childhood hugs is gone, replaced by this formal, almost corporate gesture. "Dad," he says, his voice pleasant but lacking real emotion. "Happy Father's Day." "Thank you, son." I respond, stepping back to let him in. "You're looking well." He is looking well. Too well, perhaps. His face is smooth, untroubled by the kind of worries that crease mine. He moves through the house with a certain awkwardness, as if he's not quite sure how to exist in this small, humble space anymore. His world is so much bigger now, grander. This house must seem like a relic to him, a reminder of a past he's worked hard to leave behind. We move to the living room. I offer him coffee, but he declines. "I'm fine, Dad." "Thank you." He sits on the edge of the sofa, not quite relaxed, his posture rigid. I settle into my armchair, the one that's molded itself to my body over the years, and we look at each other across the small distance that feels like a chasm. The conversation starts with the usual pleasantries. "How's work?" "It's good, very good actually." "How are you feeling?" "I'm fine, can't complain." "The weather's been nice, hasn't it?" "Yes, quite nice." We dance around real topics, skating on the surface of things that matter. It's a choreography we perfected over the years, this careful avoidance of anything too deep, too real. But then something shifts. Robert leans forward slightly, his expression changing. There's something on his mind. I can see it in the way his brow furrows, in the way he clasps his hands together. "Dad," he says, and there's a question coming. I can feel it. "Are you happy with the $6,000 Lucy sends you every month?" I freeze. The words hit me like a physical blow. $6,000? The truth is, I haven't seen a penny of that money. Not 1 cent. I've been getting by on church donations, on the kindness of Betty and Martha and the others who take pity on an old man who can barely afford to feed himself. $6,000. The number echoes in my mind, absurd and impossible. My throat feels tight. I swallow hard, trying to maintain my composure, trying to process what I've just heard. Lucy, Robert's wife. She's supposed to be sending me $6,000 every month? For how long? And where has it been going? I take a breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "Son," I say, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "The church is keeping me alive these days." The words hang in the air between us. I watch Robert's face, seeing confusion flicker across his features. He doesn't understand. He genuinely doesn't know. He thinks I've been receiving this money all along. He thinks I've been living comfortably on Lucy's generosity, while in reality, I've been surviving on donated canned beans and day-old bread. I pause, my words caught in the still air. My mind is racing now, trying to make sense of this revelation. $6,000 a month. That's $72,000 a year. How long has this supposedly been going on? A year? 2? The numbers are staggering. With that kind of money, I could have fixed the roof that leaks when it rains. I could have bought proper groceries. Maybe even seen a doctor about the pain in my knees that gets worse every winter. But I haven't had that money. I haven't had anything close to it. Then, as if on cue, Lucy walks in. She's dressed in that high-end silk dress, all elegance and polished perfection. The fabric shimmers as she moves, catching the light. Her jewelry, diamonds at her ears, a thick gold bracelet at her wrist, Probably cost more than I've seen in the last 5 years combined. She's beautiful in that cold, calculated way. Every hair in place, makeup flawless, posture perfect. She's the kind of woman who's always performing, always aware of how she appears to others. It's almost suffocating, her presence. She fills a small room with energy that feels alien to this space. She doesn't belong here, and she knows it. More importantly, she wants me to know it. "Oh, how nice," she says, glancing around the room, her eyes never meeting mine. There's a dismissiveness in her tone, a subtle condescension. "You've kept the place looking so clean, even with, well, your age." Even with my age. As if being 73 means I should be living in squalor, unable to maintain basic cleanliness. I feel the sting of her words, but I don't react. I've learned over the years that Lucy operates on a different frequency, one where kindness is transactional, and every gesture comes with an unspoken price tag. She gives me a quick smile, a smile that's more formality than a real gesture. It's a smile of someone who doesn't even try to understand what it's like to live like I do, alone and dependent on the kindness of strangers. It's a smile that says she's fulfilled her obligation by showing up, that her mere presence should be enough. Robert looks between us, and I can see the gears turning in his mind. He's starting to sense that something isn't right, but he doesn't know what yet. He's caught between his wife and his father, between the story he's been told and the truth that's beginning to emerge. Lucy doesn't miss a beat. She starts talking about how she's been so busy, but still manages to send the money every month. Her voice is light, almost airy, as if discussing something as trivial as picking up dry cleaning. "It's not easy, you know," she says, settling onto the sofa next to Robert. "Managing the finances, making sure everything gets sent out on time. But family is important. We take care of our own." It all feels like a show, like she's trying to convince me, or maybe herself, that she's doing the right thing. She talks about the money like it's a burden she nobly bears, a sacrifice she makes out of the goodness of her heart. Every word is carefully chosen, every sentence designed to paint her in the most favorable light. I watch her, this woman who married my son 8 years ago, and I wonder how Robert can't see through it. But then, love can be blinding, can't it? And Lucy is very good at what she does. She's charming when she wants to be, attentive in public, the perfect wife at social functions. But here in my small home, with just the three of us, the mask slips just enough for me to see what's beneath. I smile, but it's tight. My mind races with questions. Does Robert even know? Has he been so caught up in his success that he doesn't see the truth? I glance at him. His brow furrows slightly, but there's no anger in his eyes. Just confusion. Maybe even a little guilt. "Dad," he says slowly, "you said the church is keeping you alive, but the money? Lucy's been sending it every month. $6,000. Surely that's been helping." There it is. The question I knew was coming. The moment where I have to decide whether to protect Lucy's lie or tell the truth. And really, is there even a choice? I've never been good at lying. Mary used a joke that I had the worst poker face in the world. Every emotion, every thought, it all showed on my face. "Son," I say, quietly, "I haven't received any money from Lucy. Not a dime." The room goes cold. I can feel the temperature drop. Feel the atmosphere shift from uncomfortable to something darker, heavier. Lucy's smile freezes on her face. Robert sits up straighter, his confusion deepening into something else. Suspicion, perhaps, or the beginning of anger. "That's not possible," Lucy says quickly, too quickly. Her voice has lost that airy quality. Now there's an edge to it, a sharpness. "I've been sending it every month. Electronic transfers. I have the records." "Then perhaps," I say, my voice still calm, still measured, "you should show us those records." The silence that follows is deafening. Lucy's eyes dart to Robert, then back to me. She's calculating. Try to figure out how to navigate the sudden shift in the conversation. She didn't expect this. She didn't expect me to challenge her, to call her bluff. Robert is staring at his wife now, really looking at her, and I can see the doubt creeping into his expression. "Lucy," he says, his voice tight, "Dad says he hasn't received any money. Where has it been going?" I send it every month," she insists, but her voice lacks conviction now. Maybe there's been some banking error. Maybe it's going to the wrong account. I'll have to check. But we all know that's not true. We all know in this moment that there's been no banking error. The money, if it ever existed at all, has been going somewhere else. Into her own accounts, perhaps, or into some secret fund she's been building. I don't know the details, and maybe I never will, but the truth is clear enough. I've been living on charity while my daughter-in-law has been telling my son that she's been supporting me generously. She's been using the supposed generosity as a weapon, as a way to control the narrative. She's been painting herself as a dutiful daughter-in-law, sacrificing her own comfort to care for her husband's aging father. And all the while, I've been eating donated canned goods and wearing the same threadbare clothes year after year. The weight of this realization settles over the room. Robert looks stricken, his face pale. He trusted her. He believed her. And why wouldn't he? She's his wife, the woman he chose to spend his life with. He had no reason to doubt her words. But now those words are unraveling, thread by thread, revealing the lie beneath. Lucy stands up abruptly. I don't have to sit here and be accused, she says, her voice rising. I've done nothing but try to help. If there's been some mistake, I'll sort it out. But I won't be treated like a criminal in this. She doesn't finish the sentence, but I know what she was going to say. In this hovel, in this pathetic little house. That's what she thinks of my home, of my life. And maybe she's right. Maybe it is pathetic. An old man living alone, dependent on the kindness of church ladies, too proud to ask his successful son for help. But it's my life, and it's honest, which is more than I can say for her. Lucy, Robert says, and his voice has changed. It's harder now, colder. Sit down. She looks at him, surprised, maybe even a little frightened. She's not used to this tone from him. Robert has always been gentle with her, accommodating. But something has shifted. The revelation about the money has cracked something open in him. She sits, reluctantly, perched on the edge of the sofa like she might bolt at any moment. Robert turns to me. Dad, I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. How have you been living? What's your financial situation? And so I tell him. I tell him about the pension that barely covers the basics. I tell him about the church donations, about Betty and Martha and their bags of groceries. I tell him about the leaky roof and the drafty windows and the winter nights when I pile on every blanket I own because I can't afford to turn up the heat. I tell him about the medical appointments I've skipped because I couldn't afford the co-pays. As I speak, I watch Robert's face change. The color drains from it, replaced by a sickly pallor. His hands are clenched into fists. He's angry, but I don't think it's at me. Not this time. Why didn't you tell me? He asks when I finish. Why didn't you say something? Because you're my son, I say simply, and you've worked hard for what you have. I didn't want to be a burden. A burden? He repeats, and there's anguish in his voice now. Dad, you're not a burden. You're my father. You raised me. You sacrificed for me. Everything I have, everything I am, it's because of you. I feel my eyes growing hot. I haven't cried in years, not since Mary's funeral. But I'm close now, close to letting go of all the emotion I've kept bottled up inside. I thought Lucy was taking care of it, Robert continues, turning to his wife. I gave her the money every month, $6,000. I trusted her to make sure you were comfortable, to make sure you had everything you needed. So he was giving her the money. He thought he was helping. He thought he was being a good son. And all this time, Lucy has been pocketing it, spending it on herself, on her designer clothes and expensive jewelry, while his father lived on church charity. The betrayal is written all over his face. This isn't just about the money. It's about trust. It's about the fundamental dishonesty that's been at the heart of his marriage, and he's only now seeing it. Lucy is cornered now, and she knows it. She tries one more tactic. Robert, honey, there's been a misunderstanding. Maybe I put it in a savings account for him, for emergencies. I wanted to make sure it was managed properly. Show me the account, Robert says flatly. She can't, of course, because it doesn't exist. I look at Robert and then at Lucy. I take a deep breath. The moment has come. The moment where I need to say what's been building inside me, what's been crystallizing since this conversation began. Son, I say, my voice calm but firm, it's not about the money. It's about respect. I turn to Lucy, meeting her eyes directly for the first time since she arrived. And you, Lucy, you've used your so-called generosity to control the story. You've made yourself a hero while I've been struggling just to survive. But I see through it now. We both do. The room goes still. The words hang in the air like smoke, thick and heavy. Robert looks between us, and I can see the pieces falling into place in his mind. He's seeing his wife clearly now, perhaps for the first time, seeing the manipulation, the lies, the carefully constructed facade. Lucy's face is a mask of fury and fear. She's been exposed, and she knows it. There's no talking her way out of this. No charming smile or clever excuse that will make this right. How could you? Robert asks her, his voice barely above a whisper. How could you do this to him? To us? She has no answer. What answer could there possibly be? She took money meant for an elderly man struggling to survive and used it for herself. There's no justification for that. No explanation that makes it acceptable. I feel a strange sense of calm settling over me. For years, I've accepted my situation without question. I've made peace with my loneliness, with my poverty, with the distance between Robert and me. I thought it was just the way things were, the natural order of life. Children grow up and move on. Parents grow old and fade into background. But it wasn't natural. It was engineered. Lucy has been actively working to keep Robert and me apart, to maintain this distance. Because if Robert visited more often, if he saw how I was really living, he would have discovered her deception. The distance served her purposes. And now, sitting here in this small room with the truth finally out in the open, I realize that I don't have to accept it anymore. I don't have to pretend that this is okay, that this is just how families drift apart. I need you to leave, Robert says to Lucy, his voice steady despite the emotion I can see churning beneath the surface. Go home. We'll talk about this later. Robert, she starts, but he cuts her off. Now, Lucy. She stands, her movements jerky and uncertain. She's not used to being dismissed like this. In their marriage, she's been the one in control, pulling the strings. But not anymore. Something fundamental has shifted. She gathers her expensive handbag, her designer coat. She doesn't look at me as she leaves. Doesn't say goodbye. The door closes behind her with a soft click, and then it's just Robert and me. The silence stretches between us. But it's different now. It's not the awkward, uncomfortable silence of earlier. It's the silence of two people trying to process what just happened, trying to figure out what comes next. Robert puts his head in his hands. I'm so sorry, Dad, he says, his voice muffled. I had no idea. I thought you were taken care of. I thought everything was fine. I know, son, I say gently. You trusted her. That's not a crime. But I should have checked, he insists, looking up at me. I should have visited more. I should have seen what was happening. Instead, I just threw money at the problem and assumed it was handled. I was too busy, too focused on work, on building the business. I neglected you. You built a good life for yourself, I tell him. That's what I always wanted for you. A better life than I had. But at what cost, he asks. What good is success if I lose the people who matter most? First, Mom died, and I was so wrapped up in work that I barely mourned her properly. And then I let you slip away, too. I let Lucy handle everything because it was easier, because I didn't want to face the reality of your situation. There's truth in his words, painful truth, but there's also recognition, which is a first step toward change. We can't change the past, I say, but we can change what happens next. Robert nods slowly. He stands up, paces a small room. I can see him thinking, planning. This is the side of him that's made him successful in business. The ability to identify a problem and immediately start working on solutions. First thing Monday, he says, I'm setting up a proper account for you. Direct from me to you. No intermediaries. And I'm going to have my accountant look into where that money went. If Lucy spent it, she's going to pay it back. Every penny. Robert, I start but he holds up a hand. No, Dad, this isn't negotiable. She stole from you, from us. There have to be consequences. I understand his anger. I even share it to some degree, but I'm also tired. Tired of conflict. Tired of the weight of it all. I just want to be comfortable, I say, quietly. I don't need much. Just enough to not have to rely on charity. Enough to fix the roof and keep the heat on in winter. You'll have more than that, Robert promises. You'll have everything you need. And more than that, you'll have me. I'm a visit every week. Every single week, Dad. No more excuses. The promise brings tears to my eyes again, and this time I don't fight them. They slide down my weathered cheeks, and I don't wipe them away. Robert crosses to me, kneels beside my chair. He takes my hand in his, and I'm struck by how similar they are to mine. The same long fingers, the same broad palms. He's my son, my blood, and for the first time in years, I feel that connection again, that bond that Lucy has been working so hard to erode. I love you, Dad, he says, and his voice breaks. I'm sorry it took something like this to wake me up, but I'm awake now, and I'm not going to let you down again. I pull him into an embrace, holding him the way I did when he was a boy. He's bigger now, stronger, but in this moment, he feels small again, vulnerable, human. We stay like that for a long time, father and son, bridging the gap that's grown between us. When we finally pull apart, Robert wipes his eyes. Tell me about your life, he says. Really tell me. What do your days look like? What do you need? What do you want? And so I do. I tell him about the quiet mornings and the long afternoons. I tell him about the church ladies and the small kindnesses that have kept me going. I tell him about the ache of loneliness, the way the house echoes with Mary's absence. I tell him about the photographs on the mantel and how I look at them sometimes, remembering when life was full and warm and whole. He listens, really listens, not with the distracted, polite attention he gave me earlier, but with full presence. He asks questions. He wants to understand. And as I talk, I realize something. This moment right here, this is what I've been missing. Not the money, not even the material comfort, though that would certainly be welcome. What I've been missing is being seen, being heard, being valued not for what I once was, but for who I am now. Lucy tried to make me invisible. She tried to reduce me to a line item in a budget, a problem to be managed and hidden away. But I'm not invisible. I'm here. I'm still here. And my life, modest as it is, still has value. The afternoon wears on. Robert orders food, real food, not church donations, and we eat together at my small kitchen table. We talk more. Not about Lucy, not about the money. Just about life. About memories. About the future. He tells me about the business, about deals he's working on and challenges he's facing. He asks my advice, actually values my input. I may not understand the complexities of real estate development, but I understand people. I understand integrity and hard work and the importance of keeping your word. These are lessons I taught him as a boy, and I can see now that they've served him well. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the living room, Robert makes a decision. I'm going to talk to a lawyer tomorrow, he says. About Lucy, about the marriage. I can't stay with someone who could do something like this, who could lie to me for months, maybe years, who could watch my father struggle and do nothing. I don't try to talk him out of it. This is his decision to make. But I can see the pain it causes him, and my heart aches for him. Divorce is never easy, even when it's necessary. Whatever you decide, I tell him, I'm here, and I'm proud of you. You're a good man, Robert. Don't let this make you doubt that. He nods, his jaw tight. I just keep thinking about all the times she talked about you, about how she was taking care of you, how she'd come home from supposed visits and tell me how you were doing. It was all lies, all of it. She has her own demons, I say, quietly, her own reasons for being the way she is. That doesn't excuse what she did, but maybe it explains it. Always so understanding, Robert says with a sad smile. Even now, even after everything. I'm too old to carry hatred around, I reply. It's too heavy. I'd rather focus on what's ahead than what's behind. And that's the truth of it. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm hurt. But I'm also hopeful in a way I haven't been in years. Because my son is here, really here, and he's promising to stay. The wall that's been between us is crumbling. The distance is closing. As Robert prepares to leave, he has to go home, has to confront Lucy, has to start the difficult process of untangling his life from hers. He pauses at the door. "Happy Father's Day, Dad," he says, and this time the words are full of meaning, full of love. "Happy Father's Day." I echo back. He pulls me into another embrace, holds me tight. "I'll be back tomorrow," he promises. And the day after that, and the day after that, you're not alone anymore. After he leaves, I sit in my armchair and look around the small living room. Nothing has physically changed. The house is still modest. The furniture is still worn. The photographs on the mantel are the same ones that were there this morning. But everything feels different. The air feels lighter. The silence feels less oppressive. There's a warmth in my chest that has nothing to do with the temperature and everything to do with hope. I think about Mary, wonder what she would make of all this. She never liked Lucy. I remember now. There was something in her eyes at the wedding, a concern she tried to hide but couldn't quite manage. Just be there for Robert, she told me in one of our last conversations before she died. Whatever happens, be there for him. I had been trying to do that by staying out of the way, by not being a burden. But maybe being there doesn't mean making yourself small and invisible. Maybe it means being present, being honest, being willing to speak uncomfortable truths. The evening settles around me, gentle and quiet. I make myself a cup of tea, real tea, not the reused bags I've been making do with, and sit by the window. Outside, the neighborhood is peaceful. A few children play in a yard down the street. A couple walks hand in hand. Life goes on, ordinary and precious. I think about the word Robert used earlier, respect. That's what this has all been about, really. Not the money, though that's important, but respect. Being treated with dignity, being valued, being seen. For too long, I've allowed myself to be diminished. I've accepted scraps when I deserve sustenance. I've stayed silent when I should have spoken up. Not anymore. Today changed that. Today gave me my voice back. I think about what comes next. Robert will help me financially, that's certain. The leaky roof will be fixed. I'll be able to turn on the heat without worrying about the bill. I'll be able to buy groceries without depending on charity. These are practical concerns, important ones. But what matters more is a relationship that's being rebuilt. The weekly visits Robert promised, the conversations we'll have, the chance to be part of his life again, not just a distant obligation, but an active presence. There will be difficult times ahead. Robert's divorce will be painful. Lucy won't go quietly. People like her rarely do. There will be legal battles, financial negotiations, angry confrontations. I'll be there for Robert through all of it, the way he's promising to be there for me. And maybe, eventually, he'll find someone else. Someone genuine. Someone who understands that family isn't about what you can get from people, but what you can give. Someone who will welcome an old man into their life without resentment or calculation. But that's in the future. Right now, this moment, I'm content to sit with the changes of this day, to absorb them, to feel them settling into my bones. The church ladies will be surprised when I tell them I won't need their help anymore. I'll miss Betty and Martha, their kindness and their gentle concern, but I'll still see them at church, still chat with them on Sundays. They gave me something valuable in my darkest time, not just food for my body, but food for my soul. The reminder that there are good people in the world. That kindness exists. I'll find ways to give back to the church, to help others the way I was helped. Robert's financial support will allow me that freedom, to think beyond my own survival and contribute something meaningful to the community. The stars are coming out now, pinpricks of light in the darkening sky. I've always found them comforting, those distant suns. They've been there for billions of years and will be there for billions more. They put our small human dramas into perspective. What happened today? Lucy's betrayal, Robert's awakening. It feels enormous to me, life-changing, and it is. But in the grand scheme of things, it's just one small story among billions. One father and son finding their way back to each other. One lie coming to light. One relationship healing. But maybe that's enough. Maybe we don't need to be cosmic significance to matter. Maybe it's enough to be present in our own small lives, to love the people we love, to speak truth when it needs to be spoken, to stand up for ourselves when we've been wronged. I finish my tea and set the cup aside. Tomorrow, Robert will call. Tomorrow, the process of rebuilding will continue. Tomorrow, there will be next steps and new challenges. But tonight, I'm just going to sit here in my small house and feel grateful. Grateful for this day. Grateful for my son. Grateful for the truth that finally came to light. Grateful for the second chance I've been given. Mary's photograph catches my eye. She's smiling in it. That warm, genuine smile I fell in love with all those years ago. We did good, I whispered to her. Our boy, he turned out good. He lost his way for a bit, but he's finding it again. I imagine her nodding. Imagine her saying, I never doubted it. Not for a second. The house settles around me with its familiar creaks and sighs. It's still small, still humble, but it doesn't feel quite so lonely anymore, because tomorrow Robert will call, and the day after that, he'll visit, and slowly, steadily, the life that felt so barren will bloom again. This Father's Day started like so many others, quiet, a little sad, marked by absence more than presence. But it's ending differently. It's ending with hope, with connection, with the knowledge that sometimes, even when things seem impossible, they can change. Sometimes the truth sets you free. Sometimes love finds a way back. Sometimes a simple question, are you happy with the $6,000? Can crack open a lie and let the light in. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of the day settling on me. I'm tired, but it's a good tired. The tiredness of a day well lived, of hard truths spoken, of bridges rebuilt. Tomorrow is another day. But tonight, this moment, is enough. More than enough. It's everything. As the evening winds down, I reflect on everything. The truth always finds its way out, even when you try to bury it. I'm not angry. I'm just tired. Tired pretending that the money made everything okay. Tired of the lies. If you've ever been in a situation like this, where your family didn't see the truth, let me know. Leave a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. And hit like if you believe the truth always finds its way out. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like mine.